So let's go on with the event. Next speaker is a test automation specialist currently employed by Posti as a senior test engineer. He will be talking about hybrid app testing. Let's make some noise for Jacek Kohut.
Thanks. Hello, everyone. My name is Jacek Kohut. I work as a senior test engineer at Posti. So I will talk about the hybrid app testing. Now, firstly, I will introduce you what I'm working on. That's the OmaPosti. That's the application Posti created. What it is? It's just like a inbox. You can see there your parcels. You can see there your invoices. You can see there your letters. You can track shipments. You can send the shipments. There are quite a lot of features there, but the focus here is that you can see what's coming, mainly parcels, shipments, freights, and so on, and you will know where and when you can pick them up, and you can pay invoices as well, or you can pay for shipments. So this is packed with features, And there are two. The application is created for both web and there is an app version of the OmaPosti. Now I will tell you about what's the story, automation story of the OmaPosti. So I need to go into history, how that app OmaPosti what was the evolution of OmaPosti. So initially, OmaPosti was created for native app. There was an app for the Android. There was an app for the iOS. That was the first one. Test automation followed. So the test automation was for that native app was created using Appium, of course. After some time, there was a version created for the web, and again, test automation followed with that, and the test cases were created using Selenium. So we ended up with two repositories, test automation repositories. One was for the native apps with Appium. The other one was for the web with the Selenium. But that approach for that software development caused some issues. That was kind of a costly from the development point of view. There were 3 teams needed to develop OmaPosti. One to develop a native app for the Android, the other for the iOS, and third team to develop the OmaPosti for the web. So at some point of time, there was an idea to change that, so to convert native app into hybrid app. Now, what's the hybrid app? The hybrid app is a kind of a native application on the phone that is capable of showing you the web content. So in short, this is customized web browser in a way. So whenever you need to install that app from the App Store on Google or Google Store, you don't see it as a browser. You see it as a normal application, but the content that is shown is just one specific page. In that case, that's OmaPosti. So what problem we had with this? As I mentioned, we had this two test repositories separately, one for the web version and the other one for the app version. With the introduction of the hybrid app, the web version was still working, but the app version stopped working. It was like a pretty much like a new app from the test automation perspective. All the test cases were failing. So we needed to do something with that. So what kind of idea came to our minds? We had 3 ways of continuing test automation here. One was just keep these 2 repositories. The web part, it would stay like it was, no changes there, but the app would need to be rewritten, maybe not from the scratch, but all the test cases would need to be reviewed and checked how they worked, checked all the locators, all the elements. The consequence of this would be that the problem with the 2 repositories would not be solved. The problem is that we would need to duplicate the work in the test automation for the same feature implemented twice, once for the web, the other one for the app. So that was not a really good approach. The other approach was mix the Appium and Selenium keywords, so that the keyword on either on the keyword level or on the test case level, it would be decided which way we go with the testing. Is it going if the app needs to be tested, it would go with the Appium. If the tests would need to go with the web, it would choose the Selenium keywords. Keep in mind that Selenium and Appium are pretty much the same. You can, if you do some testing for the native app, you will realize that they are the same keywords, like a click element or button. The names are even the same, and they pretty much do the same thing, but they are located in different libraries. So the idea was here that we just the test case will decide from which library the keyword would be executed. But what was the problem with this approach is that it would complicate quite a lot of test automation. All the test cases would do the double work. It would just either do the work for the native part, for the app, or for the web. So let's say at least the size of the test cases would be doubled. That was not good, and not good for the maintenance. If there was an error or simple change in the OmaPosti done, the test case would need to be. There will be at least 2 places to change just the same thing. So that was not a good approach either. So the final approach was to force Selenium to use Appium somehow, which is the main idea here was that I will be able to reuse existing web test cases to test the same things, the same features on the HybridApp. As I said, HybridApp is just a custom browser, so it should understand the Selenium commands. It's just need to be started like a browser, and then you can proceed with testing. This approach would allow to have just one testing library, to allow to create one test case that would run on both web and HybridApp at the same time without any modifications. All right. Now let's go to the implementation part. Firstly, I will show you another simplified version of the architecture, just to have a kind of a picture here. So we have a Selenium library that communicates with the Selenium server, which might not be even visible if you run it locally. And then you have a driver between that, which executes commands or actions in the browser. Appium, on the other hand, well, it's not on the other hand, it's pretty much the same. It's just the Appium library communicates with the Appium server. And then using the different driver, it executes the commands on the app. The key part here is that the communication between the library and the server is utilizing the same communication method. Like it's using that W3C specification. It's like a HTTP requests being sent between the library and the server. So what I wanted to achieve is pretty much that both Selenium and Appium library will communicate directly to Appium server. And then Appium server will decide which driver needs to be used. Is it going to be the driver that will communicate with the native part of the app, or is it going to be the driver that will communicate with the web version, a part of the app? So that's how you do it normally, separately. To start the browser with the Selenium, just use open browser keyword. You give a URL, which page you want to open. You specify which browser you want to use for testing. Of course, you add the Selenium library there in the settings. After that, any keywords that you use will try to communicate, to talk to the Selenium part, Selenium server, and then the driver, and then the browser. On the app, you have an open application keyword, which is kind of a similar thing to open browser, but it just installs the app on the phone, it opens it, and then executes the test there. And everything that is executed afterwards will talk to the Appium server. So the keywords like this click button or find element or whatever keyword you have there will go to the Appium server. If you want to, so that's typical way of doing that. But there is one more keyword in the Selenium library called create web driver. It's probably not used very often. At least I have not been using that before I investigated that idea. It allows you to create a custom kind of a connection between the library, Selenium library in this case, and the server. What's the important part here is that you can specify exactly what server you want to use. Here with this example, you have a command executor, and this is where you put what server you want to connect, and it might be Appium server. Well, of course, where the server is located doesn't really matter. It can be located, you can install it locally on your computer even, or you can use some services like Browser Stack, SourceLab, or whatever other service that will provide you the testing capabilities on different devices. Yeah, in my case, I was using one of these services. On top of this, you need to define the capabilities, which was not that much challenging, but you just need to read documentation properly. Here I can give you some lists, short list. It's not a full list of capabilities that I use, but you need to specify what platform you want to use, what phone you want to use. You need to specify the application to be tested. So OmaPosti application will be there. You can specify the driver, or you might even need to specify some keywords specific to the service that you are using, like API key or whatever. There might be different needs depending on the service you use. Yeah, but after that, if you use that create web driver keyword, all the keywords that are used, you can use Selenium keywords after that to communicate to the Appium server. So if there is a click element or click button keyword, it will not send it to the server, Selenium server, but it will send it to the Appium server. But that's actually not all what was needed. There is something that was needed, that was missing from the Selenium library, which is actually in the Appium library. So I needed to move few keywords from Appium library to Selenium library. I needed to create a Selenium plugin. Well, that was my first time when I created a plugin for Selenium. I didn't know much about that. But I just investigated the topic a little bit and found out that it was not that was not really rocket science. You just need to create a Python file, create a plugin class there, inherit it from library component, and that's the base. Then you just add it in your settings. You add library, Selenium library, with a plugins parameter showing, including that Python file. But that's just a base class. The next step was just to create keywords that I wanted to use. So what I needed, I needed 3 keywords to get context and set context of the app. Now, what is the context in the hybrid app? So it defines you if the app is running as a native app at the moment, or is it running as a web part at the moment. So when the app starts, from some time it is just starting all this native part of it, and after a while it loads the web content. So this is when it changed, when the context is changed. Initially it is native context, and then it changes to web context. It's called the web view content. It was not really easy to figure out how to create these test cases. I needed to go and check, deep dive into the code of the Selenium and Appium to see how this was implemented. To my surprise, it turned out that these 3 keywords are already there in the Selenium. I just need to call them. So the implementation of these keywords, what you see here in an example, is just calling the specific command. These names in the that you see there, it just hard-coded names in the Selenium library. It was there already. I just wrapped it in the keywords, and that worked in the once I used them and I tried to use the hybrid app. So I was able to install the hybrid app. I was able to start it. I was able to select or set the right context. And then all my test cases started to work pretty much. Well, there were 2 more keywords I needed there. Close and large hybrid app. As in testing, I just needed to close or to restart the app for testing. And that was not supported by library Selenium at all there. I needed to create them. But as you see from the example, that was really easy. What I needed is just to send that HTTP request post in that case. In other case, that might be GET, but you can find the details of this HTTP request in the Appium documentation. So I defined that what request is being sent, and then execute it again simply the same way as in previous examples. So that gave me 2 more keywords I needed: close and launch the app. Yeah, and the final one actually, wait for HybridApp, this is implemented a very similar way as another wait for keywords in Selenium. So I just needed to wait for the change from of the context from the app and then continue. So all in all, doing that, I managed to all this part, this setting the app, starting the app, installing it. This is done in the suite setup phase. So depending if I want to execute test cases on the web or on the HybridApp, I just use the parameter, and the suite setups configures properly the test cases, but the test suite. But the test cases are just the same. I haven't changed the test cases almost at all. The same test cases that were executed on the web started to work on the HybridApp, just like this. I had tons of test cases that I can reuse. Now I don't need to. I didn't need to duplicate these test cases, and there is just one repository that I'm using. There is actually one thing that can go wrong. There are many things that can go wrong, but one thing I wanted to specify that it's maybe more related to the service that you are using. Sometimes it happens, especially if you try to run the tests with the HybridApp on older phones. The specific version of the Chrome driver might be needed. So the Appium server tries to detect and tries to guess what Chrome driver needs to be used, but sometimes it fails, and that is a bit kind of a flackiness of this approach. But with the new phones, most recent phones, that works quite fluently. And I was running these cases that way for quite a long time, and I haven't faced any problems with new phones. With older phones, there might be still some issue. And from time to time, if once the service updates the operating system, especially, then I need to go and check, okay, which Chrome driver I need to use now. But that happens. Yeah. So thanks to that, now I'm free, and I mean I have double of amount of time to develop the test cases. I need to double maintain the same thing for web and for the HybridApp. I'm just happy with the solution, and that was all. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you. Thank you. We have plenty of questions. So
oh no.
Have you considered publishing those plugin keywords as PyPy as a package?
Well, I could, of course. Why not? I have not considered that so far, but yeah, if someone would be interested, why not? I can do that.
Yeah. There are interested people in
cool.
it, so let's do it. My question was that did you find a lot of bugs that you couldn't find from the web version, but you found them on the native? Because I'm thinking that, okay, we have web views, and if the web view works on a web page, then you're basically testing that does this web view work on the native app. Yeah,
okay, so there were no differences, honestly, between the web and the HybridApp. Whatever was working on the web was working on the HybridApp. That there might happen that something was going wrong with the HybridApp, but that was the web view itself. It worked the same way. I just wanted to have them to be tested also in the HybridApp. That was all.
On your kind of experience, which platform is worse, Android or iPhone?
Okay, no comments.
You know the audience. That's good. That's good. We all have these opinions, and we are keeping them inside, or part of us. What happens if the remote WebDriver API you're using starts to diverging between Selenium and Appium?
Now I don't understand the question.
You can also read it if I didn't really get it.
What was it? I don't know, honestly. I don't know what I will do. I probably, once that happens, I will need to investigate. I can't answer at the moment.
A few more questions. Does your HybridApp also use device functionality, like taking a photo? Did you manage this or like to test this via Selenium?
Yes, there is native functionality. As an example, the login part is a native part. So I needed to cover that with the Appium part. So during the starting up phase, I just log in. The same thing happens on the browser, but it's in browser. And in the HybridApp, I use strictly Appium to log in, and then the context changes to the web view, and I can proceed with the web test cases. So everything, all the test cases start from the moment once you are already logged in to the OmaPosti, because then there is a difference between the HybridApp and the web in terms of the login part.
Yeah. Then there was one question. I'm not from web world. Did you investigate common ways to approach this iOS, Android/web problem, or did you just research your own solution? Do you know that if there's like any other ways that people are basically doing the same thing that you are now doing with Robot?
I'm honestly saying no, I don't know. I don't know. I investigated it on my own. What can I do? But there might be, of course, different ways doing that. Better even. Who knows?
And did you have Robot experience before?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's probably you want to use your tool set. One last question: what happens when you use Appium keywords on the web application?
What happens when you use Appium keywords on web? Well, you can't do this. If you try to do this, like you need to first open browser, and then if you try to use the Appium keywords, it will fail because it will not know where to send the commands. So it will try to send it to Appium server, and actually Selenium is expected there.
Yeah. So that's why you set the context. And
yes.
Yeah. All right. Hey, thank you, Jacek. Big applause to him.
Thank you.
Excellent talk. Excellent talk.